Hi everyone, welcome back to numerologist.com. I'm Rose and I'm here once again with Kelli Fox from astrology.tv. Hey Kelli.
Hi Rose, how are you?
Very well, thank you. So today we're going to be talking about the Capricorn full moon on the 5th of July. So can you tell me a bit about the Capricorn full moon?
Yes. I'm thinking, where do I start?
Oh no.
Where do I start with that one? So we've got the Capricorn full moon this year is actually a lunar eclipse in Capricorn, and it's part of, it's the last eclipse of this eclipse season. So in other words, you know, a lunar eclipse is a supercharged full moon, and we have lunar eclipses, usually 2 seasons a year for eclipses. Now this one is, they're always significant and they're always intense, and this one is, you know, July 4th or 5th depending on where you are in the world. So, you know, a lunar eclipse in Capricorn really highlights our structures and our rules and our regulations and our long-term thinking. It's basically, you know, our leadership will be highlighted. And I'm saying our meaning everywhere in the world, because, you know, in astrology, everybody is affected by an eclipse. Everybody's affected by, you know, the last show that we did was about the seasons and the solstice. So it's like, these eclipses affect all of us globally as well as personally. So it's significant because Saturn, the planet of karma and rules and responsibility, it's also the ruler of Capricorn. It retrograded back into Capricorn July 1st. So, you know, the first week of July starts off with a hugely intense vibe, because we've got Saturn retrograding back into Capricorn along with the lunar eclipse in Capricorn. So we've got a lot of Capricorn energy. If you're a cardinal sign or have any planets in cardinal signs, and that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, you will be affected more so. You know, we've just have Mars moving into Aries, and so that's also cardinal energy. So this is very much about new beginnings and moving forward in a new way. You know, like with eclipse season, it's always intensity, can be challenging sometimes, but this is all about taking that step forward. And we need to, all of us as a collective, we need to all think about where we want to be in the long term, because the energy of Capricorn, you know, the symbology of Capricorn is the sea goat. So the symbol of Capricorn is a sea goat. It's not just a little old mountain goat climbing that mountain. This little old goat has a fishtail, and it starts from the bottom of the ocean and has to work its way all the way to the top of the mountain. I mean, that's double the effort. So that's the energy of Capricorn. The energy of Capricorn is very much about, it will take one baby step at a time, like that sea goat climbing up the mountain, until it gets to what it wants. And that's how we should utilize the energy of this lunar eclipse in Capricorn, is to put one baby step in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. Don't look at, you know, the top of the mountain from our view down here, you know, at the bottom of the mountain. Just look down and focus on our goal, one foot in front of the other. And that's the best way to utilize the energy of this lunar eclipse. The other thing that the eclipse is doing, and I'm just checking my ephemeris here, is that it's getting supported by a very nice trine from Uranus. So what that means is that Uranus is the planet of the unexpected, and I'm using it in a positive way because it's a trine, and a trine is a positive aspect in astrology. So you've got this lunar eclipse being propped up or supported by a very nice trine to Uranus. So there could be some very nice surprises in store. And it's sort of like, after the year we've had, how could that be such a thing? But there will be very nice surprises in store, especially if you're an earth sign, and that's Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. Now, the kicker is that there is a wide square from Mars. Mars is, as I said, it just moved, you're moving into Aries. It's impatience and anger and frustration. So we need to be mindful that we're not pushing something too hard, too fast, that we're actually taking those baby steps and we're being very strategic. That's really the key word. Not even just because it's a lunar eclipse in Capricorn, but a full moon in Capricorn is about being strategic. It is about thinking through for the long term. It's about making decisions for the long term and not just making temporary band-aid solutions. It's about really doing something properly, because if we're not doing whatever it is properly in our life, it will definitely come back and we will have to redo it until we get something right. And so that's really the energy at this time. And of course, you know, we've got the Mercury retrograde. I have to always throw that in if we have Mercury retrograde, you know, otherwise it'll be like, why didn't you mention that Mercury retrograde? The Mercury retrograde is actually part of this eclipse because Mercury retrograde is involved or mixed up or tangled up with this eclipse. So you throw this Mercury retrograde into the mix of the lunar eclipse, and it's like we need to be super duper careful about what we say. We need to be really careful about what is being said, because with that Saturn retrograde in Capricorn, not mixed up with the eclipse, it's sort of hanging off to the side, but it's enough to be involved. What we say at this time might come back to us if we are not mindful with our words. And that's where the lunar eclipse, if you think about that symbolism, it's like a giant flashlight in the dark night sky, lighting up something that has been in darkness previously. With the Mercury retrograde, we need to definitely watch our words. And if we're feeling emotional about a situation, we need to maybe take a step back and take a big deep breath before responding, because that really is the key here, is to not just sort of dive into something with that Mars in Aries and sort of want to lunge into something and respond. You know, we've got these planets that are sort of holding us back a bit. It's not good or bad, it just is.
It's funny because last time we were speaking about the new moon in Cancer, and that was all about change and sort of thinking about the future. And it definitely feels like this one is putting those, you know, thoughts into actual action and to move forward with that.
Absolutely. And that's what a full moon is anyway, and particularly a lunar eclipse. Mm-hmm. It's a culmination. So basically, if you think about the moon cycle or the lunation cycle, it starts with the new moon and then it peaks 2 weeks later with the full moon. And so then things come to a head, or things are revealed during lunar eclipse full moon. And then the waning phase, the last 2 weeks of the cycle, it's like then we all know what the situation is, and then we're sort of moving forward. There will be challenges with those quarter moons, like the first quarter, third quarter, and that they're the sort of middle phases between the new and the full moon. So it's like they're the time that we're dealing with the friction or the tension from, you know, the new or the full moons. So, you know, we can move forward because we all have an understanding then in the waning phase of the moon of what's what and what needs to happen before a new cycle will begin. And the new, actually, I'm going to throw this in here, and I know I'm probably jumping ahead, but you know, like we've got a new moon, the 20th of July, and the new moon might be quite challenging because it comes together, well, actually it's opposite Saturn and Pluto. But I think I'll save that because there's just so much to say about that, because I have to take a step back into January to sort of pull in the new moon in July.
That's so that's 2
funny.
weeks. That's quite funny you mentioned that, because I was almost going to mention that too, just because the next new moon is in Cancer as well.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. So the Capricorn full moon is sandwiched between two new moons in Cancer.
Yes. I'm glad you said that, and that's unusual. So if that was a full moon, if we had, well, actually, I was yes. Hang on, there's a lot to say, Rose, about all this. So yes, that lunar eclipse is sandwiched between two new moons in Cancer, and that's unusual That's definitely unusual. And it just means that given the aspects of the July 20th new moon as well, opposing Saturn and Pluto. And Saturn and Pluto are the two planets of 2020. But I'll talk about that, back then. So, but yes, what would happen though, if you had two full moons in a calendar month, then the second full moon would be known as a blue moon.
Hence
So,
the saying,
that saying,
once in a blue moon.
yeah,
There we go.
exactly. So this is not in a calendar month, but it is unusual. Yes, it's definitely unusual to have a new moon in the same sign, one after the other. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that one on the next video.
Yes.
But let's just sum up this full moon then. If you could sum up the theme of this full moon, what would it be?
It would be leadership is highlighted, big business, government, because that's the realm of Capricorn, and because it's a lunar eclipse, more so. So leadership, politics, big business, government, where we're going in the future and where we're being led. Because, this is all about the being strategic, taking those steps into our future, for our future. Now, with that Saturn retrograde, July 1st, all the way through mid-December, it's a redoing of something and looking at traditional approaches. See, what we want to do, because again, I should save this, but what we want to do is, Saturn moved into Aquarius, which happens once every nearly 30 years, in March. And so it's been in Aquarius from March 21st through July 1st. And then it takes a little break, step back into Capricorn. So that is the insight. That tells us, look to traditional approaches, look to the past to help us with our future. So, we have to take a step, or we have to not hold our breath, but take a step back, take 3 deep breaths, and really look to how things have been done previously to help us move forward. Because, the past is connected to the future to help us with the current or the now. So it's important that we really do not just brush off the things that have been done in the past because we're so eager to move forward with the new technologies and new scientific breakthroughs, but really tradition will be very important to us at this time.
Absolutely. Well, that's great advice. Thank you so much for joining us once again, Kelli. Just a reminder, if you haven't headed to video.astrology.tv yet to get your free personalized astrology reading, make sure you head over there now. Until next time, thank you very much, Kelli. I can't wait to talk to you about the next new moon in Cancer.
Thanks, Rose. Great to be here.